Iron Maiden, Killers, 11 tracks, 41 minutes, the second studio album from the UK metal 5-piece, released February 1981 by EMI and Harvest Capital again, produced by Martin Birch this time, recorded at Battery Studios in London. 2 singles were released, Twilight Zone and Purgatory, taking the album to number 78 in the US, number 12 in the UK, while charting well across Europe, going platinum in Canada and gold in France, Germany, Sweden, the UK and the US. This is the band's first album with guitarist Adrian Smith, who replaced Dennis Stratton, and will also be the band's last with vocalist Paul Di'Anno. Nick?
Okay, so Killers, the first thing that struck me about this was the production on it, and just I thought it sounded bigger than the debut album. That was the main difference for me, because really besides that, a lot of the songs on this and the debut were largely interchangeable. I found out that in researching this, a lot of those tracks that ended up making Killers were pretty much written around the time of the debut, so that probably explains a lot of that. The album did see the band try to explore their sound a little bit more as well, I thought. So songs that start off slow, then really ramp up and hit 11, then probably go back slow again. Songs like Murders in a Room, or as an example, just a classic song. That's probably my favourite song on this, actually. I thought Di'Anno's vocals on this tended to be a little bit hit and miss as well. I just think they didn't cut through as much. I think I preferred him on the first album. Just maybe not the way he sounded like production wise, but just his approach to his lyrics.
I get that. The energy was different.
Yeah, I think so. And don't forget, he was gone after this album, and that's all I thought. He's was he at his wit's end? Because depending on whose story you hear, he either quit or he got fired, whatever.
Either way, the story is pretty unanimous that he was doing drugs and drinking a lot.
Yeah, well, that was my next point. Maybe it was the drugs and alcohol addiction did something to his voice in between that time. But look, having said that, when he was good on this album, he was very good. For example, the title track, Killers, good example of him taking what is essentially a good track and making it a great track. But there just wasn't enough of that on this album. The main criticism I have of this, as opposed to the first one, is the debut album, after going back and re-listening to it, didn't really have too many subpar songs. Not saying it didn't have any, but didn't have too many. This one did. This one had a lot of filler, which to this day I'll still skip.
Okay.
Some of these songs I couldn't even remember were Iron Maiden songs in listening to this again, because I hadn't heard them in so long. Songs like I've listed out here: Innocent Exile, Prodigal Son, and Drifter. They can all get in the bin.
Okay.
So like I say, not a bad album, but I much prefer the first ones. And like I say, it's only because of the filler content on this. It seems like they really just kept the best songs for the first one of the ones that made this one here. So
it's always a pitfall. It happens fairly often, actually.
Yes.
The second album.
So the sophomore. What is it? Sophomore curse, whatever they're calling it now. But it has got some killer songs on it, which are worth definitely checking out and getting this for. It's not, like I say, not a bad album, but just probably not the best of the Di'Anno albums for me. Standout tracks: Wrathchild, Killers, Murder in the Room, Morgue, and I was going to list Genghis Khan because it's a great song, but it's another
instrumental.
But it's an instrumental, so it's missing out. So there we go.
It's an honourable mention.
So I'm giving it 7 out of 10. Yeah, I can't do it.
I really like this album too. Again, suffered the same fate as the Bruce Dickinson thing, and come afterwards. It is almost a different band, but I actually really like Paul Di'Anno's voice on this, which makes me question that when he was kicked out of the band, I assume his live performance must have deteriorated, because I think in the studio he hits this pretty well.
I think it was more to do with the live side, but also probably the tension within the band it was creating as well.
Yeah. And look, Bruce was, better in every regard. I think a better singer, better performer, sort of thing. And if he didn't take the baggage with him, then obviously it makes sense. This is still a really strong album. One I really enjoy listening to. It does have the flat spots, which is amazing. That we all seem to have that criticism of quite a few Maiden albums. The heights they reach are really high, but there's always some filler on there that just doesn't quite sit, and mine would be exactly the same as yours. But all in all, I like the album. I love the attack on it. I love the sound on it. It's quite a raw and brutal sound, which would, Iron Maiden doesn't sound like this anymore. After this album, it just turns into a completely different beast. But for that reason, I still really enjoy listening to it. I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
Cool. I love Wrathchild, Murders in the Room, Morgue, Genghis Khan. I'll get it in there, so you didn't. And Purgatory, I really like. Good stuff. Yeah.
Well, first off, the introduction to Martin Birch to this band. He produced them for a long time after this, and he makes this band in so many levels. It's not funny. There's a lot more even sound and polish applied to this one. Not too much, but it all sounds warmer to me. It's got a better, warmer sound to it. Paul has gone further into that attitude and aggression on the vocal as well. It works well. It suits what they're doing with this release. and that aggression in turn sort of flowed over into the music. You see, like a lot of the stuff was written from the previous one, but the way it's performed, I think is a little more on the attack than the debut was. It's all pretty much Steve Harris at this point in time, but there's more intensity and it's more energetic in the debut, and it sort of clicks better to me as well overall. I thought there was better hooks and lyrics in this. I thought the writing was actually taking a step forward. I know that it's holdover songs, but I thought that they honed them a bit better behind the scenes. And it would be interesting to see how much of an influence Martin Birch was on that process in the studio when he was saying, no, cut that fucking 30 seconds out, it doesn't need to be there kind of thing. How much of an influence did he have at that point in time? It's much better and more expressive use of the production tools like panning and reverb on this mix as well. It adds to the listening experience for me, and the guitar work is a massive step up too. It's much better and tighter. Like Adrian Smith is a good addition.
Well, Smith and Harris is Smith and Murray is a pretty special combination. They've carried a lot of weight for a long time.
Yes, and they, while one dropped away, they ended up bringing them back anyway, so it didn't matter. So they know they've got some magic in their hand there. The whole band is tighter, but in the guitar work especially, I think it shows more there. The composition's more cohesive. It's a nice step up, and I think Genghis Khan is the example of that. The way they tried to do something like this on the original, but they got the instrumental, but the epicness of that track is much better presented. Much better, more diverse use of groove. The album flows really well within that, and the track order is good as well. And I love the energy on this one. It's got a really strong natural progression. You can also see where the writing is going and how Bruce coming in next fits where they're pushing the music toward. And there are some beautiful tones captured on this, getting some softer instrumentation to come through as well, and it sparkles on this release. Like everyone has said, there's a few flat spots here, but nothing too drastic. Just moments toward the end of the album for me, where I found myself wandering, like the attention just goes, I'm just going to do something. Or instead of being locked in, you wander off and start doing something else. Step up for me overall. I think it's better than the debut. Doesn't have the raw energy as much, but the craft is better, and I think overall it's a more entertaining listen. It's a more polished presentation of their energy, and again, you can imagine this going really well live back then as well. My closing thought on this album is you got to wonder what would happen to the band if they hadn't have changed vocalist. I don't think they would have hit the heights though.
You wouldn't think, but
No.
we'll never know. But you never know.
You never know.
But like I've said before, I mean, I can't see Di'Anno singing the Bruce era songs.
No,
I mean, the change had to be made, regardless who made the change. But they would. Yeah, you're right. I don't think they would have become anywhere near what they ended up.
If the change was made with the vision for growth, they made the right choice.
But either way, the change was made, and so we know what happens next. I gave this one an 8.5 out of 10. I picked Murders in the Rue Morgue, Killers, Genghis Khan, and Purgatory for my standouts. Check it out for yourselves. Let us know what you think.